Even though our ancient sages and yogis have dedicated a great deal of time and effort to the study of breath, we still don't have a good grasp on where it comes from. Do you have any idea what the actual thing that causes us to breathe is, as well as what we call it in our language? We don't have a separate word for it in our language, but in the Japanese language it is referred to as Tandai, and it is a point that is located just a little over 5 centimeters, about 2 inches, below our navels. This point, which the Japanese refer to as Tandai, and which we consider to be a location just a few centimeters below the navel, is where the profound connection to our breath lies. This point, which the Japanese refer to as Tandai, is essential for anyone who is looking for spiritual insight, wishing to bring their mind to a calm state, or taking deep breaths. The rate at which a person breathes is directly proportional to their level of stress. Quicker breaths that result from shallow breathing indicate higher levels of stress, whereas slower, deeper breaths that originate in the abdominal region are associated with relaxation. Because of this, it is recommended that a person take several deep breaths until they reach the Tandai point in order to successfully lower their levels of stress. When viewed from above, a person's breath becomes more shallow as their stress level increases. Because their breath is coming from the Tandai point, which is located 2 inches below the navel, young children appear carefree and unconcerned when you see them. This is because the Tandai point is 2 inches below the navel. When you are in a state of relaxation, your breath will naturally reach its optimal state from the beginning, but when you are full of tension, anxiety, or stress, you will notice that your breath is shallow from above, not reaching the deep abdominal region. When you are in a state of relaxation, your breath will naturally reach its optimal state from the beginning. This is an indication that you have deviated from your natural state in some way. People in this modern world suffer from a wide variety of mental illnesses. Some people don't understand why they should bring their breath all the way down to their bellies when they can confidently feel it in their chests. This practice of breathing deeply into the chest ultimately results in the creation of a significant internal distortion. It is essential for human nature to relax to the point where one can let their breath reach the Tandai point, let go of any built-up tension, and arrive at a state where they are no longer stressed. Because they are in a state of relaxation, you will see that the chest of a child who is healthy is not puffed up, and their abdomen will have a slight protrusion because of this. Because of this, the state of complete relaxation is referred to as Tandai. This is the state in which there is no tension, and it is also the state in which your breath naturally descends. You might be wondering how you can tell if the Tandai point is being reached by your breath. To accomplish this, you need to sit in a comfortable position and deliberately focus on taking deep breaths. Unless you consciously allow your breath to become more relaxed at that state, you will have the sensation that it is not reaching the Tandai point. On the other hand, we don't usually let go of that state because we want to demonstrate that we have brought our breath into our chest, and we are proud of the fact that we have engaged our Tandai and then brought our breath back from there. There are many different reasons why we are unable to take a breath, but the primary one is that we do not want to reveal our chests. Deeper investigation is required if we are going to figure out when a child first becomes conscious. A child begins to become conscious when they begin to choose their responsibilities and play with their limited senses. This circumstance occurs as a result of the parents reprimanding and rebuking the child for their actions. The child comes to their senses as a result of the repeated acts of torture they have to endure for their behavior. When the child reaches this stage, it is then that they come to the realization that there is something corrupt within their own body. This consciousness is aimed in the direction of the immoral behavior. If you compare the behavior of the child when they were younger to how they behave now that they are conscious, you will notice that the child's breath has changed from being lower to being upper. No longer is it extracted from the lower abdomen, about 2 inches below the navel, as it was when they were children. In this circumstance, the child chooses their responsibility, and the wrongdoing becomes clear to them, often through the scolding and punishment from their parents, as they attempt to choose with their limited senses. In other words, the child is responsible for their own actions. This direction toward wrongdoing comes not only from the child's peers, but also from their parents, who view it as a sin. You must pay close attention to your breathing if you want to both add years to your life and bring about positive changes in your life. In a state of consciousness, you have control over your breathing from your chest, but when a person is unconscious or when they are sleeping, they tend to breathe more deeply, which can cause their senses to become more acute. Although there is a wide range of opinion among academics regarding this topic, one thing that has been observed is that a person's senses become more tense and rigid when they take long, deep breaths while they are sleeping. In a similar vein, while in the state of sleep, every person goes through a range of 12 to 18 periods in which their senses become heightened. The reason for this is that a person who is deeply asleep and breathes deeply during that time will tighten their senses and make their senses even more restricted. It is not necessary for a person to have experienced deep sleep or to have dreams that are related to sexual desires just because they are sexually aroused. This is a natural occurrence that takes place when a person takes long, deep breaths while they are sleeping. If you live with a young child, you've probably noticed that when the child is in a deep sleep, their body becomes rigid and their muscles tighten. This is a common occurrence. The primary reason for this is that the child has been taking deep breaths for an extended period of time, which causes their senses to become rigid. The same thing takes place with an average person. The body is profoundly influenced by the way one breathes when they are asleep. It is impossible to explain the effects of each facet of breathing in a single video. Therefore, in the following video, we will discuss how our sexual desires affect our health during the time of sexual arousal and whether or not we can control our breath to increase our stamina during that time. This will be done because it is impossible to explain the effects of breathing in a single video.